ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्यां मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। Now you can keep your video on so I can see everybody and make sure you are able to understand. That will be nice. So we saw yesterday the Shvetaketu's total amazement at the fact that there is such a knowledge which seems like a master key to the universe. How is this even possible? Because generally when we know one thing, we know only that one thing. How are you saying that we can know one thing and know everything? How is this possible? Because he says, in my experience, I don't see that at all. And he says this is not a knowledge that is famous. Aprasiddha etad aprasiddham anyat vijnanena anyat vijnatam bhavati iti. Aprasiddham means this is hardly well known. This is not well known at all, that knowing one thing something else is known. This is hardly well known. This is not a famous knowledge. And indeed, Shvetaketu is right in his assumptions. You know why? Because this knowledge is only given when it is asked. You have to ask for it. You have to say, please teach me, and I would like to study this, and then only it is given. And it says at the end of every Upanishad, it says, do not give to the person who doesn't have Shraddha or Bhakti. Do not give this knowledge to a person, who has not reverted from wrongdoing, adharmic person. Do not give this knowledge repeatedly. So the teachers have no pressure to teach, and the teachers are also told not to teach unless it is expressly asked for. So therefore he says, Shvetaketu says, if I Google this, nothing comes up. The knowledge from which knowing one thing, everything is as well known. Even Google doesn't know the answer, so this is not very famous. So what is this knowledge? Yathasa adesho bhavati tat shrinu. Please listen to this. Please listen to what this is all about, and please understand this. And then he says, and so again, before we get into the bhashya, somebody can please share the file so that everybody who doesn't have it or who have joined today for the first time can download. The first part is in Sanskrit, and if you want English bhashya, it is there in starting page 44. Okay, yeah. Yathasa adesho bhavati tachrinu. Please listen to how this adesha is. Adesha means teaching. What is this teaching about? Yatha somya, he says, ekena mritpindena sarvam mrinmayam vijnatagam syat. He says, well, it's not true that asmin loke, in this jagat, that there are no examples by knowing one thing you don't know other things. I'll give you an example, and this is the birth of our, pot clay pedagogy. This is where we find it from. Yatha, in which manner, ekena mritpindena, from, one lump of clay. By knowing one lump of clay, then what? Everything that is clay-esque, made of clay. Clay vikara. Vikara means modification. The vikara of clay is understood. And another word for, an elegant word for vikara is to use the suffix mayat. Mayat is a suffix which means either preponderance or it means vikara, modification. So both of those are there. So it is a modification of clay, or it is a preponderance of clay. We have to decide which meaning we are going to ascribe here. We cannot say preponderance of clay. That means there will be something else added to the clay. So there is nothing added to the clay. So we have to say it's a modified version of the clay. What is the modification here? It goes into the kiln, it comes out, and then they paint some glaze on it, and then it is called a glazed pot, etc. Some kind of an artistic glaze can be put on it, etc. And so this is the story of the vikara of mrit. So one pinda, one ball or lump of clay, if you understand that deeply, if you inquire into one lump of clay, everything made of clay, everything that is mrinmayam, and he's going to explain what is mrinmayam. Mrid vikara jatam, that which is born of clay, that which is made of clay, that which is a modification of clay, vijñātagam syāt, it is understood. What is understood? The whole world of earthenware is understood. Because when you see earthenware, you don't have to ask the question, where is the earth? That's why it's called earthenware, because earth is everywhere, wherever the pot is, clay is. So you cannot say the clay is on top of the pot or the clay is underneath the pot. In fact, the whole pot is nothing but clay. That is what he wants to understand, because he is getting ready to establish this Karya Karana Prakriya that we will enjoy seeing in detail. And so beautiful. The effect cause pedagogy in Vedanta Shastra is just nothing like it. Very, very important pedagogy for us to understand the non-separateness of oneself from the scheme of things. This is how the oneness is talked about, because then in the karana, the cause, the relationship between the cause and the effect, then the effect is seen as non-separate from cause, just as in this example the pot is seen as clay alone, non-separate from clay. And then what happens as a result? Then there is oneness. All that there is clay. Pot is also clay. Clay, however, is not pot. So this is the effect is subsumed into the cause, and all that there is cause, but without effect we cannot call cause a cause. This is a very interesting rumination. Can you call a cause when there is no effect? The answer is no. How can it? The cause is a status superimposed on that clay in relation to pot. If there is no pot, then the clay is not a cause. So the causation or the status of being a cause is gained when it is understood that there is something that has come out of the clay, some kind of a modification of clay, asti, it is there. And this modification of clay in relation to the clay world, then clay has the epithet, it's wearing the crown of being the source or the cause. Clay is cause, that which has come out of clay is effect. Then we go on this side and understand what is it, what is the status of that which has come out of clay. What is its status? What is its reality status? Not its utility status. What is its reality status? Well, the pot example clearly shows that it is non-separate from clay. So if it is non-separate from clay, then is it fair to say pot is clay? Of course, pot is indeed clay. If pot is clay, then where is the question of effect? What has come out of clay? Nothing has come out of clay. Then if nothing has come out of clay, then how can clay be called cause? This is, this is very, very interesting. Very interesting way of establishing oneness. So first you say, Vedanta is, the Vedanta Shastra is very clever. This Shruti is so sneaky. First she says, yes, 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 there are many, many, many things. I agree with you. Yes, there is this one, and then there is a grandfather, and then there is a grandson, and then the granddaughter, and then the great-grandchild, and all these things. Everything is there. And each thing, yes, it looks separate from everything. Yeah, you are right. And then it slowly says, well, one is cause, the other is effect. Don't you see? See, pot is nothing but clay. Then you say, yeah, that is also true. Pot is nothing but clay. So pot is effect, and then clay is cause. Got it. And then what? Next step, the pot is swallowed up. Other than a utilitarian value, in terms of reality, it really is, it's just got a utilitarian reality, meaning it can hold some water or some chai, because now in India everybody is trying to be eco, and so they call it, a little pot is called kullad, and then they give the tea in that. Okay, you can have pot tea with a little taste of clay. You can have that. So it can hold a little bit of tea, perhaps, or a little bit of water. That's about it. But really speaking, from the standpoint of the whole, which is clay here, there is no such thing called pot, because pot we have already agreed is clay. And then the Shruti says that pot is, what is pot? It's just a word. P-O-T, pot. And then you can have, as soon as I say pot, all kinds of pot, Ishta pots, like Ishta Devatas. Ishta pots come into the head. Golden pot, silver pot, kalasha, small pot, big pot, medium-sized pot, all kinds of pots populate the head. Okay? But then you take away the substance. Golden pot should be made to stand on its head. Because when you say golden is an adjective to pot, or is it the other way around? A pot that, so it is, so golden is actually the substantive. Pot is the adjective. So same thing, when you say gold chain, it should be chainy gold. It should be ringy gold. Okay? It should not be golden chain and golden ring. We have it all backwards, and our ajnanam has flowed into the language also, and making it continue thinking wrongly. So here the pot has no substance to speak of. It is just a word with a meaning. That's all it is. Word and meaning. Golden pot, word and meaning. Clay pot, word and meaning. Silver pot, word and meaning. Word and meaning. Word and meaning. Word and meaning. Just words and meanings. And then if you take away the word and meaning, what is there? Only clay. So now, first we reduced everything to cause and effect. Shruti did. And then what did she do? She said, first she made us go there, and then she said the effect is nothing but cause. Why? Just because. The effect is nothing but cause. See, if pot is clay, then there is no such thing called effect. Where is the effect? Gone. This is, I told you yesterday, this is Indian magic. Gone. And then if the pot is gone, which had the status of the effect, then can cause be called cause when there is no because? Can the cause be cause when there is no because? No. So then the clay simply is. This is clay simply is. And then that clay, sa atma tvamasi shvetaketo. No, it's only in relation to the pot, okay? Don't go away with thinking, okay, that clay you indeed are. That is not the idea. That is not the idea. This is only applicable if the pots that we are talking about had a human mind. Then one would have a complex, I am a fat pot, and the other one would have a complex, I am a crack pot, and then the third one would say, I am a small pot, I'll be eaten up by the big pots. Three are enough because that's more than two, it's plural, many. Nanatvam is established in three. Okay, then three are enough. And then all these three pots are having a conversation of how they have a complex centered on the self. And then along comes a guru, who is a very small pot, tiny pot guru comes. Not pot-bellied guru, okay? Tiny guru comes, small pot. How come you're so cheerful? How come you're so sad? Well, I'm a crackpot, I'm a broken pot, I'm this kind of a pot, I'm a small pot, I'm a fat pot. And all the stories, biographies of the various pots came out. And then the teacher pot said, you are nothing but clay. Tat clay, tvam atma asi, tattvamasi, clay tvamasi. No, clay is God. No, you are that clay. You are nothing but clay. And so from the standpoint of the pot, the clay alone is Sat. And the pot need not worry about it being decimated, because we are not talking about the massacre of all the pots and to put all the pots in one melting pot called pot. That is what we are talking about. The beauty of Vedanta is that we are not afraid of differences. What is there to be afraid of? Because I have already told you the differences don't pose a threat to this understanding. When this understanding is clear, the differences are enjoyable. They are actually wonderful. You can have fun. When mithya is understood, it can be fun. When mithya is taken to be satyam, then it takes you for a ride. So here, the differences don't have to be strangled or muffled. So what do we do with the differences? We allow them to be, and we transcend them in our knowledge, through our knowledge. A cognitive shift takes place, and in the wake of which shift, your whole vision is transformed. Your vision of seeing pot 1, pot 2, pot 3, pot 4, pot 5, pot 100 is just seen as clay. Clay plus pot 1, still clay. Clay plus pot 2, pot 3, pot 4, still clay. Clay plus 1,000 pots, still clay. This is a shift, it's a cognitive shift. It's a shift in the vision that is very much needed to understand how, knowing one thing, everything is as well known. This is where he is preparing to unfold that. And then, so then he says that, what is this status of the pot? He said, Vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam. This, my son, my boy, hey Somya, O delightful one, O dear one, this vikara is the modification of clay, rests on the tip of your tongue. And if you say, oh, I am eating the pot, I am eating shards of the pot, the tip of the tongue means what? It is dependent on speech. Vak arambhanam, the word pot and the inner drishti of the pot that you just had, the darshan of the pot that you had in your mind as soon as the word pot was said, began with my speech. So it is dependent on speech alone. If I don't call pot a pot, then the pot cannot come and shake hands with me and say, hello, I am pot, namaste. No such thing can happen because the pot is jada. You are Chetana. So here the Jadavastu, which is which is there, which is multiplying and proliferating the universe, is its existence is Namadheya alone, meaning it is Vak Alambanam, dependent on speech. And then what? That which is Sat, that which is the truth of the pot, is clay alone. Mrittika iti eva satyam. Bhashya. He Somya,
हे सौम्य
यथा लोके
यथा लोके
एकेन मृत्पिण्डेन
एकेन मृत्पिण्डेन
करककुम्भाधिकारणभूतेन
करककुम्भादिकारणभूतेन
विज्ञातेन
विज्ञातेन
सर्वम् अन्यत्
सर्वम् अन्यत्
विकारजातं
विकारजातं
मृण्मयं
मृण्मयं
मृद्विकारजातं
मृद्विकारजातं
विज्ञातं स्यात्.
विज्ञातं स्यात्.
So he says, this is the Bhashya. Hey Somya, O dear one, Yatha Loke, just like in this world, Yatha, he just adds the one word, you Loke, Ekena Mritpindena, by observing one lump of clay, and then he gives example. Karaka. Karaka means jar. Kumbha, pot. And then Adikara, Adipadat, you can take Sharava, jug, all these things. And then Karana Bhutena. So, Karaka Kumbhadinam Karanabhutena Mritpindena Jnatena. This is how we have to understand. Anvaya we have to do. So what does it mean? So the cause of the jug, the jar and the pot, etc., that which has the status of the being the cause of the jar, of the jug, of the pot, and knowing that lump of clay which has the status, which is endowed with the status, which enjoys the status of being the cause, being the daddy of the jug, of the pot, of the jar, etc., then knowing that one lump of clay, everything anyat, all other things which have also come out of this. Vikara jatam means vikara samuham, a group of earthenware objects. So group of objects made of the same clay are as well understood, are they not? That is the idea. Of course they are understood. Because if you have understood pot number 1, pot number 2, pot number 3, then what is the problem in understanding all these other things? No problem at all. Everything is as well as understood, because you see this. You see this very, very clearly, that there is this the status of cause, the clay, and if the clay has given birth to the jug, so to speak, is the cause of the jug, is the cause of the jar, is the cause of the pot, then if you see an earthenware oil lamp, then also that oil lamp is made of that same clay. It's the vikara of the clay. Then you see a Krishna figurine also made of clay. Then you say this too is the modification of that same lump of clay. Then you see another plate made of clay. Then you see that this is also made of clay. Then you see something else, like a some kind of a cover for the lamp they used to have in olden days, which had little animals and everything, and then you would cover it, and in a dark room you could, the animals would be projected onto the ceiling and the walls. That was the beginnings of what is called the disco ball. Okay, so this is the ancient disco and so they used to have this, and for the children they used to move it like this, and the children would just delight, because there was no electricity, nothing. This was just live entertainment. So there would be stars, sun, moon, little stick figures in the form of people, all on this earth, this wonderful pot with various apertures in various shapes. and sizes, and this would be projected onto the wall or the ceiling. And then, so if you see that also, then you see what it is also made of clay. This is also made of clay. Everything is made of clay. And then you understand that just by examining one lump of clay, the whole clay world is understood. So now comes an objection. Who made this objection? Not me, and not the Shruti. And so, who made this objection? This objection comes from the head of Adi Shankara in order to make our knowledge a little more sthiri bhuta. Sthiri bhuta means very, very firm. In order to firm up our knowledge, this particular objection is given. Now it gets very, very interesting. Usually when we have these objections, they belong to certain people. And what are those certain people? Like, there is one person who is like who is a one track mind. And then we can say Ekadeshi, one track mind fellow, is objecting. And then there is another person who is a logician, Nayayika, who says the whole world is made up of 4 or 5 substances: dravya, guna, sambandha, samyoga, samavaya, all these things. You know what though? And then abhava, these 5, 6 things are there. And then abhava means non existence. So he says non existence is a thing. How can it be a thing when the very meaning of the word non existence is a non thing? You just have to scratch your head, that's all. No other explanation. So these are the people who were, as I told you last time, who are the contemporaries of Adi Shankara, and they were causing great havoc in confusing the people, and the people who grew up in these times would also be confused, and so they have to be made aware of the fallacies of their thinking. This is not that we have anything against Nayayikas. In fact, Acharya or Sankhyas or anybody who differs from us. It is wrong to think that Vedantins have some axe to grind and they are superior to, they consider themselves superior to everyone else. They don't let other opinions thrive. You can let other opinions thrive, no problem. But if that opinion is supposed to say 2 plus 2 is 5, how can you let it thrive? This is completely wrong. You can accommodate the person who has a belief. 2 plus 2 is equal to 5 or 6 or 7. Then you can tell the person, and the person happens to be your brother-in-law, then you can say, oh, come, have some lunch. Let's not discuss these maddening things. You are family, have some lunch, sit with us, etc., etc., you can say. But if the person is convinced 2 plus 2 is 5, then you can't have a conversation with him or her. So therefore, this is exactly the same situation we are having here. Here, what the Shruti is trying to posit is that anything that is coming from a source, you see, is not separate from the source. And there is only one source. Let us call that Sat, and that Sat is not separate from you, who is also, whose body, mind, sense complex has also come from the same source. This is what the Shruti is trying to say. And then if you say, oh, what about the non-existent things? What about this? What about that? It makes no sense. Yet, these, we take on wrong thinkings from our surroundings, from our socialization. We have all kinds of wrong thinkings lurking deep within the antakarana, within the unconscious, that we don't even know that they are. And they, what do? They mount a defense and make one resistant to this knowledge. Why should it be this way? It has to be some other way. Why? Because I said so. All these things. This is all unnecessary. This is all comes in the way of assimilating the teachings. So this kind of a skirmish with what are called Purva Pakshis, the sparring partners, makes of these are all mythical, mythical beings that Adi Shankara creates from his head in order, out of compassion, in order for us to be very, very thorough in what we have studied, so that our knowledge is free of vagueness, doubt, error, perplexity, or confusion, etc. So, our clarity grows in reading and understanding first the Purva Paksha. Purva Paksha means the objection, and understanding how Adi Shankara then goes to put the objection into a samadhi, puts the objection into a deep sleep, so that the person doesn't, so that means the person is convinced of Vedanta. It's not trying to proselytize people. That is not the pressure here at all. That is not the commitment. The commitment is not trying to bring people into our way of thinking. That is not the idea. The point is to understand how this knowledge can be distorted, because we have some doubts and errors and vaguenesses lurking in our minds. So let us read the Akshepa. Katham mritpinde karane
कथं मृत्पिण्डे कारणे
विज्ञाते
विज्ञाते
कार्यमन्यत्
कार्यमन्यत्
विज्ञातं स्यात्.
विज्ञातं स्यात्.
So this is a objection. Katham, how mritpinde karane vijnate, sati saptami, absolute locative construction. So how in knowing a lump of clay, everything that is everything is unknown. How is this possible? And obviously, all this time, this Purva Pakshi must have been sleeping, because, hasn't listened to anything, hasn't heard anything. It is like that student in the Keno Upanishad. God only knows what he was doing. The whole Upanishad is taught, then he raises the hand. And then, yes, teacher is very happy because there is a question, or somebody, that means somebody is thinking. And so teacher is very happy to receive the question. Teacher says, yes, tell me. Upanishadambho bruhi, O sire, please, revered sir, please teach me the Upanishad. And then he says, the teacher must have been shocked. And if the teacher was shocked, the teacher did not show it. The teacher's compassion comes out and says, Ukta te Upanishad. Ukta, Maya, I have already taught you the whole Upanishad. Now I can tell you some story, because obviously you didn't understand it, but I have finished teaching you the Upanishad. So like this is also belong, that this Akshepa must be the cousin of that fellow in the Keno Upanishad. Cousin brother or someone must be. So this fellow is asking, Katham Mritpinde Karane Vijnate. So big deal, the lump of clay, now you have given it a new epithet called cause. So if I know the cause, everything other than the cause is known. How do you say that? If I know cause, then anyat here he means effect. So if I know cause, how is the effect known? How do you say that? And then Samadhanam means, like I said, putting the Purva Pakshi in Samadhi, meaning resolving this Purva Paksha. So let's see how this is resolved. Naisha doshaha
नैष दोषः
karanena
कारणेन
ananyatvat karyasya
अनन्यत्वात् कार्यस्य
yanmanyase
यन्मन्यसे
अन्यस्मिन् विज्ञाते
अन्यस्मिन् विज्ञाते
अन्यन्न ज्ञायते इति
अन्यन्न ज्ञायते इति
सत्यमेवं स्यात्
सत्यमेवं स्यात्
यदि
यदि
अन्यत् कारणात्
अन्यत् कारणात्
कारणं स्यात्
कारणं स्यात्
न तु एवं
न तु एवम्
अन्यत् कारणात्
अन्यत् कारणात्
कार्यम्.
कार्यम्.
So he says the objection. What was the objection? In knowing the lump of clay as cause, how can you say that we also know the effect? Okay, I know cause, but then how do you know the effect? What is this kind of a thinking? Naisha doshaha. Naisha doshaha means there is no problem with this. Na esha doshaha, there is no fallacy in this. There is no big, what is the big deal here? Why? Because the cause that we are talking about happens to be non-separate from the effect. And so karanena ananyatvam asti karyasya. Karanena ananyatvam asti means the non-separateness of the cause from the effect. Karyat karanam ananyaha. So the non-separate of the non-separateness of the effect is understood, is there, it is a fact. In other words, if you want to look at the example, pot is nothing but clay. And so pot is effect and clay is cause. So the clay inheres the pot. And so therefore the clay is non-separate from the pot. Clay is non-separate from the pot. And so therefore if you know clay, you know all manners of things made of clay, because the effect called pot happens to be, or effect, not just pot, anything that has come from clay, the effect happens to be non-separate from the cause. So therefore what you say is incorrect. Yat manyase, whatever you think. And what is it that you are thinking? Anyasmin vijnate. When you understand something different, anyat na jnayate iti. Whatever you think, and you're thinking that knowing something, by knowing some one discrete thing, another discrete thing is unknown, satyam evam syat, would have become true. Were it for the fact, yadi, were it for the fact, anyat karanat karanam syat. If whatever you say, that knowing one thing, another thing is not known, knowing the cause, effect is not known, you would have actually been right, had it been the case that the cause and the effect are indeed separate from one another. Yes, you would have been correct. But you are wrong. Natu evam, you are wrong. Why? Because na anyat karanat karyam. The cause is not separate. The cause is not independent. The effect is not independent of cause. So the connection between cause and effect is that the effect is non-separate from cause, and cause has a causality ascribed to this thing called cause. So they have a relationship that is just a one-way relationship. Effect is cause, cause is cause. Cause does not become the effect. So if this is the case, then definitely you are wrong. So then that person either goes to sleep or the same person comes back. Akshepa. Katham tarhi
कथं तर्हि
idam loke
इदं लोके
idam karanam
इदं कारणम्
ayam asya vikarah
अयमस्य विकारः
iti.
इति.
Shrinu samadhanam. This is how it is resolved now. Shrinu
शृणु
vacharambhanam
वाचारम्भणम्
vag arambhanam
वाग् आरम्भणम्
vagalambanam
वाग् आलम्बनम्
ityetat
इत्येतत्
kosau
ओसौ
vikarah
विकारः
नामधेयम्
नामधेयम्
नामैव नामधेयम्
नामैव नामधेयम्
स्वार्थे ध्येयप्रत्ययः
स्वार्थे ध्येयप्रत्ययः
वागालम्बनं मात्रम्
वागालम्बनं मात्रम्
नामैव केवलम्.
मामैव केवलम्
न विकारः
न विकारः
नाम
नाम
अस्ति वस्तु अस्ति
वस्तु अस्ति
परमार्थतः
परमार्थतः
मृत्तिका इत्येव
मृत्तिका इत्येव
मृत्तिका एव तु
मृत्तिका एव तु
सत्यं वस्तु इति.
सत्यं वस्तु इति.
Yeah. So the second objection comes from either the same person or another person, doesn't matter. The second objection comes from a particular standpoint that in the world in which we live, asmin loke, idam loke, in this world, what happens? We say we have a way of talking about it. This is cause, this is because, meaning this is effect. So where did this come from? Oh, I got it from so and so, from such and such a place. Oh, what, your shirt, it's so wonderful. What is it made of? Silk. Here you are, the silk is the cause of the shirt. Silk shirt. So the fabric here is being referred to as the cause. And so when you touch the person's shirt to compliment them, and you touch the cloth and you say, ah, it is silk, silk shirt. So here again we say, then you let's say the person touched your shirt and said, oh, I like this cloth very much. Where can I get this? Go to the fabric shop on such and such a street corner, and here you can buy that. So you see, so there is this cause effect understanding throughout. And so the cause and effect, they are epithets that we are used to when growing up, and we are used to in the regular world. This is cause, this is effect, this is shirt, this is fabric, this is yarn. We talk like this. We don't always talk of oneness between the cause and effect. So therefore, your whole argument of oneness, you please keep with yourself. He's telling Adi Shankara, okay, this mythical dialogue between the Purva Pakshi and the one who answers the Purva Paksha is called Siddhanti or Siddhanta Purva Paksha or Siddhanti Purva Pakshi. Either way is okay. So then, he tells Adi Shankara, keep your cause effect story and your wonderful entertaining Vedantic magic of making the pot disappear into its cause, you keep it to yourself. At the most, maybe it is entertaining a few people, but then after that, it has no use. In fact, pot is what has use. So, and of course, you should be able to distinguish between one pot and next pot. So that's why, if you go to some kind of a retreat, in the Gurukula, they give you a little thing to put on your cup, and so that you can wash it and keep it and recycle it for the length of the retreat. So they will put one sticker, and you can put your name on that. So then, this is my pot, this is my cup, this is your cup, this is how we talk. This is how we, in Vyavahara, this is what it is. There are many things. Just because you have this penchant for saying everything is one and all that there is one, and you are just so clay obsessed. I've never seen anyone so much obsessed with clay, and I don't know what you're doing here, but in the world, you need to understand, you need to get with the fact that in the world, hello, there are certain things called cause, there are certain things called effect. Just because you are just some kind of a, what should I say, a big philosopher, and you can't just make us, into this. This is not a tenable situation that everything is just, effect and cause and all these things, and the effect, the cause, all these things. This this is, the cause, the effect, all these things you keep to yourself, because people in the world, hello, are not stupid, okay? We are thinking people, and that's why we have written the name on my cup and your cup, so that we can distinguish from one another. We need to have ways of relatability. We need to relate, we need to name things, certain things are of use in marriages, certain things are of use in certain other ceremonies, so we need to mark them and keep them aside. And so we cannot just We cannot just go with you and just go to this place of no return oneness where everything is subsumed. We are not ready for that. And then, he gives the what is called samadhanam, the resolution. Shrinu, meaning shut up and listen. Listen. The problem with you is you have not been listening. If you were listening, you would not have asked the question. That is why Adi Shankara has to say, listen. Please listen. Shrinu. Vacharambhanam, Vag Arambhanam. So, Vacharambhanam is Chandasam, meaning it is the Vedic license. Okay, it is Chandasam. And so, Vak Arambhanam, dependent on speech. And Adi Shankara gives a little pun to that. Vak Alambanam, Vagalambanam means Vak Arambhanam, starting with speech, and he changes to solely dependent on speech. It is solely dependent on speech alone. Iti etat. This is a fact. Because what is pot? P-O-T. Word and meaning. Word and meaning. What is lid? Word and meaning. What is jar? Another word with another meaning. What is jug? Another word with another meaning. What is clay? A plate made of clay. Another word, another form, another name, another meaning. This is all it is. Kosa vikara. What are the status of these vikaras, these modifications that we are talking about? Namadheyam Swarthe dheya pratyayah. Namadheyam means they are name alone. We should say name. Words alone. Because name in English is mostly used for proper nouns. So it can get confusing. That's why I use word and meaning. And so, words. They're words alone. Word alone. Namadheyam. Dheya here means alone. Only nama matram. Swarthe. So the nama alone, meaning they are words alone, nothing other than words. Vagalambanam matram namaiva kevalam. So your effect that you are counting all these ghost pots. These ghost pots you are counting and naming them. People have this habit of naming things, They will name the car, and they will name their shoes, and they will name their socks. All kinds of things are named. Because there is some feeling of being in control if you name something. That's why when the colonial Britishers came, they changed all the names of the streets to all, the names of British generals and everything like that. And then after we got independence, now we are changing it back to Kuppuswamy Subramaniam Road or things like that. All, long names. And 3 names will be there. And then long names, we are changing it back in a spirit of newfound nationalism. So this naming has to do with ownership. And why is there ownership? The notion of ownership, why is it important? Because there is insecurity. Simple. There is insecurity which you try to make up for by trying to hoard, own and have all the time. This is the problem. And so here, this is name alone. This is just nama, rupa or word and meaning. This is a name and a form, or it is a word with a particular meaning. Now, kosa vikara, what is this vikara you are talking about in your tabulating? You're tabulating ghost pots and ghost things, ghostly pots, because really, ultimately, they are non-separate from clay. And you cannot disagree with that. You, O Purva Pakshi, clever as you may be, looks like you cannot disagree with this. If you disagree with this, then you are also clay. Your head is full of clay. That's all I am forced to say. That's all we can say. What else can we do? So, Vagalambanam matram namaiva kevalam. It is only in name that these modifications exist. And then he puts a cherry on top of this argument, this argument in the form of the cake. And let us look at the cherry here, beautiful. And he says, na vikaro nama vastu asti paramarthataha. That clinches the whole thing. There is no such thing called effect that you can go and buy in the market. If you went online, Amazon.com, and said effect, you type in effect in the search box of what you want to buy, it will ask you, and then you, in wherever that thing is there, little box will be there, you type effect. What will it give? It will give 10,000 books with the word effect in it, or it will give something or the other. But it cannot give you effect, because there is no such thing called effect. Effect is a reality word. Modification is a reality word, stating or demonstrating or showing the reality of the object. And so that which is an effect has a dependent reality. That's all the word effect shows. The word effect cannot be bought from a supermarket. And this is what he says. Na vikaro nama vastu asti paramarthataha. Paramarthataha means in reality. In reality there is no word called effect. And so what is real then? Mrittika iti eva satyam vastu. Mrittika, in the clay example, Mrit alone is real. The clay is real. Why? Because clay is clay, pot is clay. We have seen this. Clay is also clay, pot is also clay. So the effect is non-separate from the cause. I don't know what you are talking about. And where you are headed, I have no idea. But this is the truth. And then one more example is given. One more example is given. And and then Adi Shankara is going to tell later why multiple examples are given. Multiple examples are given in order to firm up the knowledge and make the comprehension complete. Because in one example, or maybe, this is the reason, and maybe Shvetaketu was looking a little dull and not understanding fully what this was. So another example is given. Yatha somya
सौम्य
ekena lohamanina
एकेन लोहमणिना
sarvam lohamayam
सर्वं लोहमयं
विज्ञातगं स्यात्
विज्ञातगं स्यात्
वाचारम्भणं विकारो
वाचारम्भणं विकारो
नामधेयं
नामधेयं
लोहमित्येव सत्यम्.
लोहमित्येव सत्यम्.
Yeah, loham here is not iron. That will come later. Yes, loham here is a metal. It was interchangeably used as metal. So mrit pinda, okay, we saw that earlier, a lump of clay. But loha here is gold. So you cannot say a lump of gold, because who will have a lump of gold? Nobody. Maybe some smugglers in their suitcase, they will have golden biscuits and all the gold biscuits and all they bring with a false bottom suitcase. And the customs people, they know this. They just cut underneath and everything will fall down. They know, they have seen so many people. They know this very well. So, ekena loha manina. So you cannot say loha pinda. You cannot say a lump of gold, because nobody has so much gold. And so loha mani, one small gold bead. You see the beauty of the Shruti here. So appropriate examples. So here in the clay example, the clay was a big lump, and in the gold example, one gold bead is the example, because it's expensive. Okay, and so yatha somya ekena lohamanina, in one gold bead, knowing one gold bead, sarvam lohamayam, everything else made of gold, vijnatagam syat, is understood. So what is the world of gold? What is the world of gold? The world of gold is vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam lohamiti eva satyam. The world of the ornaments is non-separate from gold. Ornaments resolve into gold. Ornaments is just name and word and form and meaning. You say keyura, a kind of a armlet, which you put here. And then you say kundala, earrings. And then you know, Keyura, armlet, kundala, earrings, all these things, you know, these are all words. They just are words with certain commonly understood meanings. That is all they are. And so therefore, vacharambhanam vikaraha. And the goldsmith is a jnani. You take your bangle and you tell the goldsmith, you know, this is from my great 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 grandmother. It has been in the family for 6 generations, and but this is a old design. I want something new. And then he's not you know, he's not interested in your sentiments. He will unceremoniously take the bangle, pluck out all the stones or whatever was in it, and he will weigh only gold. He will even minus some copper and some alloy that was put in the gold in order to make it more malleable, to make it an ornament. He'll minus it. He sees only gold. This is something very nice, very interesting. And so when you sell an ornament, you are not selling ornament. That's why you are not getting the making charges back. You are only selling gold. And when you buy an ornament, you are not buying ornament. You are buying gold. Plus the making charges, because they have crafted the gold into some kind of an object that you like to have around the house or as an investment, whatever it is. So only gold is there. What vikara? And we all know the story of Pujya Swamiji going, you know, to inaugurate a gold shop. One merchant invited him and said, "Please bless my ornament shop, my golden ornament shop. I have just opened it. Please help me succeed. Please bless me." And so Swamiji said yes and stopped over briefly, and then cut the ribbon and cut the cake, did all these things. And then after that the man said, "Since you have come here, please take one thing." And Swamiji said, "Careful, you are talking to a Vedantin." "No, no, no, Swamiji, please take one thing and bless this shop." And Swamiji, since he was a student, he could make this joke. He said, "Okay, I will take the gold, you keep the shop and the ornaments." The one thing, that one thing means what? One thing is gold. I'll take gold. So, gold and ornaments, this shows gold and ornaments are not synonyms. Gold and ornaments are not synonyms. They cannot be. Because ornament is gold, gold is not ornament. They can only have one relationship and alone, which is that of cause and effect. Other than that, no other relationship exists. And Adi Shankara says this, Paramarthataha. Paramarthataha, you know, does not exist. There is no other relationship existing, and there is no such thing called ornament. What you are buying when you are buying an ornament is simply gold. What you are selling when you sell your ornament is simply gold. All that is there is gold. What is an ornament? So now when I ask you any question, you should say, Vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam. That is what you should say. So what is ornament? What is earring? Vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam. What is a bangle? Vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam. What is the waistband? Vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam. What is the chudamani head ornament? Vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam. It is just a name. It is just a word with a certain form and shape. The form and the shape of that which bears the name Keyura, armlet, is non-separate from its cause, gold. This has to be understood. And then, you know, this is you know, let us read the bhashya and then we can stop there. Yatha somya
सौम्य
ekena lohamanina
एकेन लोहमणिना
suvarna pindena
वर्णपिण्डेन
sarvam anyat
सर्वम् अन्यत्
vikarajatam
विकारजातं
kataka mukta keyuradi
कटकमुकुटकेयूरादि
विज्ञातं स्यात्
विज्ञातं स्यात्
वाचारम्भणम् इत्यादि समानम्.
आचारम्भणम् इत्यादि समानम्.
Yeah, he too got tired of repeating it. He said Vajarambhadam, etc. is the same as above. Same as above. Because this is the refrain here. And if it's understood, okay, we don't need to keep on talking about it, because that part is same. It is common to all these examples. Yatha Somya, oh dear, just as by one golden bead, and he explains it, Suvarna Pinda, to go with Mrit Pinda, he wants to see that, he wants us to see that it is the same. So, Ekena Lohamanina Suvarna Pindena, same, he gives the example of lump of gold, Sarvam Anyat Vikarajatam. Vikarajatam means Vikara Samuham, a whole host of things that have come out of this gold, such as what? Kataka, bangle, mukuta, crown, keyura, armlet, etc. Vijnatam syat. So if you know gold, you know the gold, whether it has the form of kataka, mukuta or keyura. You know the gold, whether it's a bangle or whether it's a chain or whether it's a ring. You know gold. You can recognize the gold in any form. Why? Because this Kataka, Mukuta, Keyura are Vacharambhanam Vikaro Namadheyam Lohamani Eva Lohameva Satyam. All these are just vikaras, they just have a name and form, they really don't have a substance other than their source. It's not that they are non-existent. They don't have a substance other than the source. And one more example is given, Nakha Nikrintanam, nail cutter. And that we'll see next week, because this is a good place to stop. And so we'll see that next weekend. And next weekend we are back to the same time. What was the earlier time? I forgot now. No, next weekend we are not back to the same time. We are still in this time, which is 5th, so 12th. So 12th and 13th. Also, because of this summer Vedanta course going on, we will meet 15 minutes later. Okay? So we will meet a little bit later, so that we can have some time to go from one class to another. So after that we will be back on the usual time. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.